Hello everybody and welcome back to the Bayonetta 2 walkthrough. It's time for more extras, specifically more third climax runs. We are in part 2 of 3 and we begin with chapter 5 in the Hero of Hyrule costume, which is wonderful. And to be perfectly honest, I say that Bayonetta probably pulls off that outfit actually better than Link does himself.
Why did you have to go and do that, little one? Wake up. Damn it. Wake up! Enough jokes. Wake up!
Love, you can't let kids' jokes make you that mad.
And what about you?
Ah, Loki.
Really
Always the Joker.
Dead with someone who can make you dead?
Now,
Men like to gamble.
fun little fact about the Link outfit. I think it's another one of those anecdotes which I may be making up, but I don't think I am.
Sounds like my kind of guy. Maybe a bit.
So I think when they initially kind of presented the Link design to Nintendo, that kind of covered up a little bit more of Bayonetta's cleavage. And then Nintendo were just like, yeah, just you can show more. Just show as much cleavage as you want. And that's how we ended up with the design we have here. Which is kind of just... I'm still absolutely mind blown that Nintendo allowed that. They actually went out of their way to say, you can have more cleavage with our character design of Link. Now, something that happens when you get the Super Mirror 64, which unlocks costumes from the first game, is that you unlock Sharaba as a weapon, which is the same as it was in the first game. And what's really awesome is that when you use it in conjunction with the Hero of Hyrule costume, you get to fight using the Master Sword. Which is just amazing. But that's not the only thing that this rather wonderful costume does. It also automatically gives you access to the ability to block. So, normally you have to buy the Moon of Mahakala, or whatever it's called. Which, if you push forward, then you are able to kind of block an enemy's attack. And if you time it correctly, then you will go into Witch Time, which is awesome. And this costume has that automatically equipped, so you can use your accessory slot for something else. The other thing is that it turns all halos into rupees, and whenever you open a chest or find a secret, it plays a little jingle. So we had the chest opening jingle there, and then we have the Zelda secret jingle coming up shortly, actually. So it's like, it's a very well constructed kind of idea and costume, so it's just like, that's amazing. Just all, like, so many sound effects are borrowed from the actual games and used, and it's just like, oh my god! I love it to pieces. Now I believe I will be using the Master Sword for the rest of this part, because I mean, it's just that badass. I mean, I think this basically means that in the course of history, only 2 people have ever wielded the Master Sword. Link, in his various incarnations, and Bayonetta. So, Bayonetta's the hero of time. I mean, she sort of really is, kind of, because, I mean, she has to travel through time in Bayonetta 1, she has to travel through time in Bayonetta 2. Also, I love this attack, because you just fire a massive beam. It's kind of very, very, very useless to try and actually do in battle, but it's really awesome. And I think generally the way that they expect you to use it, if you decide to use it at all, is going kind of into a battle when sort of you have time to kind of activate the battle and actually be able to pull off the attack, because I think it's quite powerful. Ah, puzzle complete jingle. Ah, it's all these little touches that are just brilliant, and also what's absolutely amazing is that it's all little touches that actually mean something. So it's not just there is some fancy looking rubbish on the floor somewhere that's ridiculously detailed for no other reason than aesthetics. Like, all the stuff here, it means partially it is aesthetics, but sort of like it functionally does something. So the puzzle jingle signals that you've completed a puzzle, and that's what happens here. And the chest opening jingle is for when you open a chest. And so it's sort of, it has functional significance, even if it is a very small thing. And also because it's referencing stuff, it's even better. Oh, it seems I've decided to, oh no, I know why I've decided to move away from Shiraba and the Master Sword. It's because I need to freeze pain for that bewitchment. The one frustrating thing is that I was essentially forced to use Undine throughout the entirety of this entire run, because it was just like, I want that bewitchment, so I need to try and freeze every enemy as I go along. I should also point out that I pointed out in Tag Climax, but we were also able to use Scarborough Fair from the first game as well. But obviously, Love is Blue is definitely the better weapon setup. It really, really is. Because you can get a Wicked Weave out of your kick combo, which you couldn't in the first game. And as we kind of move forward, I guess now is as good a time as any to go into the Bayonetta 2 Platinum Games blog that they've kind of done, and I think they're sort of still adding to, but they haven't added to anything since like December 19th last year. Also, very, very quickly, this is Metal Witch costume. It's such a waste. It doesn't do anything at all, and it doesn't even look good. I don't know what drove them to include this as a costume, because it's just useless. Anyway, so, well, the article that they did on December the 19th is by Mai Akura, who is the conceptual designer for Bayonetta 2, and basically, for the first game, it was just the first year working at Platinum and was in charge of the user interface. But basically, Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2, while having the same characters and all that jazz, do look very different, and that is all down to the conceptual design. So Bayonetta 1's coloration theme was red and black, and Bayonetta 2's is blue and black. Or at least blue and gold. Yeah, it's blue and gold, because of the game's enemies and stuff. So, obviously, Bayonetta 2 is in general a lot brighter. There is the slight problem of Ace's colour is also blue, but his kind of powers were kind of given a green, emerald greeny kind of tint. And also, Ace had his own kind of unique line patterns to draw a distinction. you also have the fact of Bayonetta 1's kind of got a relatively low contrast. It's like, commonly what people call it is, the game has a piss filter, because it's all kind of very brown and kind of slightly dark. I will say that I'm pretty sure, like, when I played the 360 version, it never felt that kind of brown and piss-coloured, and I'm pretty sure if you watch my walkthrough of it, it's not that bad. But that might just be because of the way that the Xbox works. Its way of putting together colours is different to all the other consoles, and leads to what I believe are crushed blacks. Don't even ask me what that means. Like, I can just about deal with complex stuff like frame rates and all of that, but you get into stuff like crushed blacks and I'm just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But anyway, all of the colours in Bayonetta 2 are far brighter, and also there's much more of a focus on straight lines and geometric shapes. So basically Bayonetta 2 ends up looking a lot more modern and Bayonetta 1 looks a lot more classic. In general, I have to say that I think I do prefer the design of Bayonetta 2. Just the amount of colour is stunning. I mean, it's the same reason that I absolutely adore The Wonderful 101, because it's bright, it's colourful, it's exciting, and just don't get that anymore, which is just depressing. Also, for this wonderful fight, I decided to go into the Mushroom Kingdom Princess costume, which dresses you up as Princess Peach, and provides you with a few awesome things, like turning your Wicked Weaves, when you have Love is Blue equipped, into Bowser. So Bowser's arms and legs will come and attack for you, and oh my god, it's wonderful. And not only that, this costume also does other things. So, like the Hero of Hyrule costume, it changes the halos from halos into something else, and it changes them into coins. So you get the yellow coins, blue coins, I think there's red coins as well. So it's just like, this is awesome. Not quite sure I'm a fan of the design in general, because there's just something about it that I think it's the fact of sort of the skirt is very short and you are constantly, well, because of the way the cutscenes and the gameplay are kind of done, you're constantly made aware of how tight the underwear is. And yeah, I'm just it really isn't my favourite of the Nintendo designs. There's just something a little bit off about it. But once again, Nintendo were very kind of open to making it increasingly sexual. Even though obviously it's Princess Peach we're dealing with here, aka the iconic damsel in distress, who is very reserved sexually. Well, yes, that shot right there proves everything. It's completely fine in the normal game when you have the normal outfit on, but with this, it just, everything gets a little bit more accentuated.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were the most persistent.
And also, I really like that there's a little kind of Mario plushie kind of hanging off the waist. It's just like, yes. And in the Sarasaland princess outfit, which is Daisy, they have a little Luigi, which is just wonderful.
guess I had you all wrong.
Step away, Umbra Witch. This is not your fight.
Actually, it is.
Now, as we begin our second fight with the Masked Lumen, let's go back to the Bayonetta 2 blog. So when the game kind of got released, there were some wonderful events. Well, I say some wonderful events. There was a wonderful event in Russia. There was also, I think, an event in Japan, and there may have been one in America, but I'm not 100% sure. But basically, Akiko Kuroda, who produced Bayonetta 2, kind of made this post and showed off the stuff that was taken at the special event held in Russia. And what the jammy bastards got was, not only did they were able to get their hands on the first print edition of the game, they also were given completely free a pack of Loki's tarot cards. So it's a full set of the 22 major Arcana cards that Mari Shimazaki designs, and it's just like, I am so envious right now. Like, I mean, Loki's a bit of a naff character and all, and he seems very much a Yu-Gi-Oh ripoff, especially considering he uses cards. But, like, that's just a really, really cool little thing to have. And on the subject of the first print edition, which basically had an art book in it, and it had separate game cases for both Bayonetta 1 and Bayonetta 2. When Bayonetta 2 got announced, I was very much, I am going to get whatever collector's edition they put out, because I seriously want a collector's edition / limited edition of Bayonetta 2. Like, I love the series that much that I will pay for stuff like that. Particularly because I got like a limited edition of Bayonetta 1, which gave me my wonderful Scarborough Fair gun replica, which I absolutely adore. I did kind of want to get the Climax edition because that had an art book and a little CD with kind of soundtrack selection. But the gun held more sway for me, and rather frustratingly, Australia got the full kind of edition, so they got all of those kind of extras plus the gun, which, like, that's the edition I would have wanted, but it never happened in the UK, which really miffed me off. So then, when the first print edition of Bayonetta 2 was announced, it was just a bit, oh. Particularly because the whole thing of having the two separate game cases for Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1, if you just got the special edition, that was how they appeared. Like, the cases were exactly the same, so you were essentially just paying 60-odd quid for a fancy box with a very small art book in it. And that was it. And as much as I love the series and desperately wanted to get a collector's edition, I could not justify that price for essentially just paying for a box. Like, I will pay for an art book, I will pay for a statue, I'll pay for a CD or a steelbook. Well, steelbook's less kind of to pay for. More the art books and stuff that I'd prefer. But I will not pay an extra £20 for a box. Now, the bewitchment that you just saw me get there, the Retribution of Thorns, basically, the way to get that particular bewitchment is using Aldruna. You have to pick up and slam down enemies 50 times, I think it is. Which is a very easy thing to do. Basically, you kind of use Alruna, and at the kind of like partway through combos, you hold, and that will grab enemies and slam them down. You saw me using the technique during Witch Trial 5. And obviously it's frustrating because you can't do it on bigger enemies outside of Witch Time, but it is a very easy thing to do. It's a very easy bewitchment to get. So that was another thing that I realised I needed to do and managed to achieve surprisingly quickly after starting it, so that was helpful. Now, there are also some wonderfully lesser-known facts about Bayonetta 2 that Akiko Kuroda brought up on the blog. So, another wonderful thing that you get for beating third climax is the Chain Chomp weapon. Yes, you heard me right. You get to fight with a Chain Chomp, which is just awesome. I'm not a fan of using it as a weapon because it's very slow, but it is glorious. But what's really, really wonderful is that if you just kind of stand around, then he falls asleep, and there's adorable kind of Zeds kind of flying out of his head. It's just like, oh! And also he starts attacking enemies before you even ask him to. And what's even better is that he can sniff out treasures. So if you are kind of near an Umbran resting place, not necessarily the... well, you can't see the ones that are in other dimensions, so the ones that essentially work towards the bewitchment. But he will kind of tell you that you are near a treasure chest.
The world famous Rhoda.
And
where demons and gunsmithing go together.
It's just awesome.
Sorry, I'm mad hungry. What can I do?
And what's really cool is that, so Kuroda says, I still can't believe Nintendo let us use the Chain Chomp for the game. Originally, when the director Hashimoto sent them some collaboration ideas, we included the Chain Chomp thinking we had little to no chance they'd actually allow us to use one of their most iconic characters as a weapon. Nevertheless, they pretty much gave us consent without batting an eye, and they were thrilled. And later, testing it out in a check of the game, saw it get hurled at an enemy and explode. As a producer, she was a little terrified of the thought that they were actually going to show Nintendo one of their most cherished characters blowing up in their faces, and yet they were completely on board with it. So it's just like, that's amazing. Now, I believe that the bewitchment that we just got is for buying all of the techniques in the Gates of Hell, and that is... it's basically to do with the shop, and if you just watch that little bit of footage, that is, I think, what I did. My memory is rather poor. Now, if you get hit by that beam that resentment pushes out, you go into a little Cereza form, which, if you get, as I said, get caught by resentment, it will kill you immediately. Also, if you fail that quick time event, it will also kill you immediately. Which is just incredibly dickish. Now, Jeanne also has her own little baby form, but I'm not going to show that off because can't be bothered. And also, it's not important because you do not... it doesn't appear in the model gallery, which is essentially what I thought it would be, but it's not. So, there's just no need to show it off. You've seen what happens, and that was done on purpose, but when it first happened to me, it was completely by accident, and it killed me multiple times, because I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. Now, I believe that at this point... There we go. Relentless Witchcraft, which you get for using... well, killing 20 demons with torture attacks. Which is great. And now we begin our fight against Alrune once again. And I thought, let's just go with the dress from the beginning of the game for this fight, because that would be quite cool. Rather frustratingly, the hat gets in the way of a lot of things. Like, it really makes some cutscenes completely and utterly ridiculous.
That it's going to be a bloody coronation. Now.
What I find quite awesome about this is that in this dress, Bayonetta is actually quite fit for a coronation, you know? Like, she's very well dressed for one. And this is probably one of my favourite outfits in the game, even if it doesn't quite work in a lot of the cutscenes. And here we go, for our final fight for this part. We're going to be fighting off against Boulder, dressed as Princess Daisy. Well, dressed as an incredibly slutty Princess Daisy. So the only way I can describe it is it's like one of those really awful slutty Halloween costumes. Or at least the stereotypical Halloween costume for women, which for some bizarre reason kind of results to being incredibly little clothing. I don't quite get what Halloween costume makers' obsession is with that, because it's just... I think I'm just weird. I mean, well, I don't really celebrate... well, I don't celebrate Halloween, because I just never really was interested in it. But also Halloween's about kind of being scary, it's not about being sexy. And sexiness doesn't exactly always equate to not wearing much clothing. Anyway. Hatta, you're not going to see much of the Boulder fight, because it's not really needed, and also you're going to see enough of... you're going to see enough of it in the Jeanne run, and also in the Infinite Climax run, so, yes, because there is the frustrating thing of, you get a bewitchment from beating this verse, well, beating Boulder, without getting hit. And yes, that is as difficult as it sounds. Well, unless you cheese your way through it completely and utterly, which I most definitely will be doing. Now, I do wish that on the Umbran Climax with the princess outfits, when there's the Madama Butterfly headbutt, that they had actually made it be Bowser. Because that would have just been the cherry on the cake. It would have been ridiculously hard to include, but it would have just been a wonderful little addition.
This is impossible.
But there we go. Part 2 of Third Climax is complete. Only one more part to go. Let's do this.
Where am I? Bayonetta! Get away from me!